All right, we're back. The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread Podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Ben. Vivat Grendel. This is episode 18, I think.
19, I think.
Oh boy, I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I have the folder right here from yesterday's or from the last edit. Episode 19, closing in on 20, man.
Yeah, we'll need a hologram cover for next week.
Yes. Oh, I'm so down. I'm so
Eli,
down. Yeah.
It's going to be a very normal week. Nothing crazy is going to happen this week on the show. So just like give me just very standard. What did you do last week? We have nowhere to be really.
Nowhere to be, nowhere to see. I scored a grail amongst grails in comic book collecting, Benjamin.
No kidding.
I straight up didn't tell you about this because I wanted to tell you about it on the show. It is slabbed at this point, but I may unslab it.
Is that an EC book?
Oh, it's psychoanalysis. Cool. But look, I don't know if you can see what that says.
It says it's the first issue approved by the code.
Well, right. But right below that it says from the personal collection of Jerry Garcia.
Oh, I did not see that part. Cool.
Yeah, it's from the lot that they sold on Bonhams, which was like the auction house. I almost bid on like a lot of his EC comics, and I was hoping that someone on eBay would like put some shit up, and they did. And I couldn't resist. So that's
crazy.
Jerry's psychoanalysis.
So because of the pedigree, you can't crack the slab.
Ah, man, I want to though.
Yeah, I know you want to. You want to touch. You want to shake the hand that shook the hand.
Yeah.
It says Jerry's book.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And the eBay buyer. It would be better if it said Jerry and like.
Oh, if he signed it like Jerry Garcia.
or like this is Jerry's comic book. Please don't.
Yeah. Oh man. So that was the big thing for me. Mostly, just did some collecting and working on the normal stuff. Wizard's done. Basically, everybody's got their book, so that's all set. I'm moving into some work on the Ween zine, continuing work on image grand design, and might even get into some Monkey Lion here and there. What about you?
Sounds good. I've been doing like a heavy dose of character design for my new project. I've never really been one to be able to get like the rotations and the model sheets. Like, Walt Disney would not hire me as a character animator, but to me that's always the standard, really trying to figure out just like what the shapes and the dynamics of the different lines and strokes are. And I feel like I'm doing, I'm really trying to do it right. So I did a bunch of design work, and I'm in a place where I'm working on 2 comic book series at once, and hopefully like the scheduling will work out, although none of them have come out yet. So I'm just sort of like giving a lot of thought right now as to how can I, model my work and my presentation and like beat the drum in the way that my peers who have had, more success than I have seem to have done it. And it means like, I think it means a lot of sharing the process, like every day, every panel, like stay positive, like don't talk about, not that I talk about a bunch of horse shit, but it's like needs to be like laser focused on this thing. So I'm thinking about that a lot, and did a bunch of reading. I am almost done with friend of the show, Tony McMillan's novel, one of his novels, An Augmented Fourth.
Nice.
And I think I got through about 65 pages a few weeks ago and put it down just because I was busy doing other stuff. And then I read like 100 pages of it today.
Hell yeah, man.
It's just like, I'm not a fast reader, but it's not a tremendously difficult read. It's a 200-page book. And it's crazy. It's like, it's like Almost Famous meets The Thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's
really awesome.
It's really, really cool. And like there's all kinds of like, it takes place like the week that John Lennon is assassinated in 1980, and a stand-in for Ozzy, I guess, is like snowed into this Boston hotel, and he's isolated in there, and I can say no more, but it's a super cool book. So
sounds
good
awesome.
Good on you, Tony. And then I I started I'm a big Dune head, so I started a Dune reread for the first time since
in
college.
preparation for the new film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the new trailer.
Nice. The
and
spice.
The spice will flow, I guess.
I
Yeah,
hope
and I'm
so.
like, it's really funny in sort of like looking at Dune and looking at Grendel. Some of the things there's some parallels in my reading experience, which is like the story of Dune. I've watched the movie and the sci-fi show like countless times. I've read the book a bunch of times. I've audiobooked the first like 50 pages of the book like 50 times. And you're like, I got a taste and I got to dip out. But it's very much like Grendel in that there's a lot of things that kind of like, it's not necessarily about sequence. It's about all the different moving parts.
Right.
And we've talked a lot about reading order, especially with these black, white, and red, white, and black anthologies. And I'm starting to think at this point that Matt wants to keep the stories out of order. It's part of the mystery that kind of keeps you on your toes.
Gotcha. Yeah. And adds to adds to the mystery. Like you said, adds to like the confusion that your brain takes of like what all these strings are being pulled at once.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of confusion and brain strings being pulled all at once, hit me with that intro. Let's get into our very standard episode.
Normal-ish.
Nothing special.
All right, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Mahfood.
What the hell?
Just kidding. What's up, dude?
How are you, man?
Very well, very well. Welcome.
How are both of you guys?
Good. This is Ben, by the way. Jim, Ben, Jim.
Good to meet you, man. How are you?
Man. I'm good. I'm good. We've briefly met several times in New York City.
You look familiar.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's that we look the same.
But I do want to thank you very much for taking the time to be here. One of the things that kind of like characterizes you is just like that generosity of spirit, and not to blow up Eli, but Jim never says no, and we do appreciate.
Never said that.
Good. Good.
But I do recall.
I only say no if it's like just impossible to do something.
Yeah.
There's just too much going on. But it's funny because it's hard to say no now in COVID because everyone is like, we know you're at home. Like, what else are you doing? Like, you might be busy, but what? Can't you just talk for like 1 hour or something? Like, so
where are you going?
Well, especially now in Portland, man, it's like the air has been poisoned for the last 5 days. So we're really literally still trapped inside. That's going to start changing soon, hopefully this weekend, but
it's like double trapped.
So weird, dude.
I see those pictures that people post, like Diana Schutz or like the Allreds or whoever post, and it's just like, because they're all out there, and it's like, it's insane. Like, it's not great here in California. It's still like smoky and like you're next to a campfire, but it's like not that bad, yo.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in LA, for 16 years, and I was used to the fires every year there, but felt so stupid because I didn't know Oregon could get fires on this level, and it normally doesn't, but just the smoke part of it, like one of the reasons I moved here is the air here is always crisp and clean. Yeah. Because it rains so much. So it's just ironic that I've only been here like 2.5 years, and we're at the point where we can't leave our homes because of the air. So that part, it's like, for me, man, it's like, all right, well, I guess it's just another week of nonstop drawing, and
it's not
that hard.
Yeah, so some things don't change.
Yeah.
Except you don't have that release of like being able to go out and like, hang out, or are you like doing stuff masked up, or are you basically like, I'm not?
Yeah. I've been going to the comic shop once a week with a mask on, and
that's about the only thing I do too.
They only allow like 8 people in at a time at my local shop, and then my buddy Stephen Green, he draws the book Sea of Stars for Image. A fantastic artist. He just moved here a year ago. I meet with him like once a week outside for lunch, where we go to like a food cart area. And everyone's wearing masks, and then you get your food, you sit down, and we talk shop for like 2 or 3 hours. But he's really my only human in person contact that I have. The rest is just Zooming with people and talking on the phone with people. So, but man, I mean, after like 6 months or 5 months or whatever, it's like, I have to be able to just hang out with some other human once a week.
Yeah.
Because this, I'm used to being alone, but like, as you know, like this is not a natural way to live.
Not at all.
So just be careful is the whole thing, man. Like everyone in Portland is conscientious, and it's a very green, environmental, hippie-ish town anyway. So everyone here has been like real cool about the mask thing and keeping distance and all that shit. It's, you know.
I can't say the same for here, unfortunately. It's like people
Are you in Hollywood?
I actually moved up to Woodland Hills now. We were downtown for a minute, and now we're in Woodland Hills.
Oh, right, downtown. Okay.
Yeah.
And Ben, where are you at?
Well, I live in Brooklyn. I'm in Massachusetts at the moment.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So it's, you know.
Oh, Happy New Year, Ben, by the way.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes. Happy Yom Kippur.
Yeah, man.
Oh, sure,
yeah, it's a big important time.
Is that why you're up there, dude?
Secret handshakes. Yeah, I mean, sure. Yeah, you know.
My mom was like, "Do you want to come to the High Holy Day services Zoom?" And I'm like, "Oof, I don't think so."
Yeah, I could do that. So, Jim, let's talk about Grendel.
Let's do it. Let us do it.
We love your 8-page story. We, you know, Eli's a big fan. I've been a big fan too. We were both like Generation X readers as kids, and so the Underground Special, I know, it's right on your wall, I'm sure, right? That really opened up our eyes, you know, a lot. And
yeah, we always talk about that book, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's one of those anomaly books. This is a crazy story. I went to Japan for the first time last year in November for Tokyo Comic-Con. The first guy to come up to my booth at Tokyo Comic-Con was a Japanese guy dressed as the 1960s original Kirby Cyclops. And the only book he had for me to sign was Gen X Underground. And I was like, how do you have this book? You know, and he's just like, the internet, man. Like, you know, like, how would I not have this book? You know,
dude,
it was surprising to see. It was surprising to see in Japan. It was awesome.
I actually found a promo poster for that book on eBay for like $20. And I was like, I've got to do this.
Is it the red one?
Yeah, it's red with like the X symbol, and it's like 3 illegal X stories. God, you're such a badass, dude.
I recall a Los Angeles Inkstains autobio strip where you're sitting in like an airport. I think you're complaining about like carpal tunnel or something like that. And when I think about this earlier phase of your career, the work is really tight. You can really see, you know, the precision in the tools. And, you know, it seems like a big part of your development and evolution has been that scale of looseness and tightness and like letting things flow and whipping things around. Can you talk about that a little bit? This story's kind of in that style.
Yeah, and I was just going to bring that up, that I reread and looked at this Grendel story, and I haven't looked at it in a long time. And it did remind me of like the technique I was doing at the time was like ink everything with one tool, one dead line of this pen. And then I was going back and adding in meticulously all the line weight over that line. And that after a while just started to destroy my drawing hand and my wrist. And I started going to a chiropractor. I was living in Arizona at the time, but then eventually, man, I mean, I always was in the mindset of art should always kind of change and evolve. And I kind of rediscovered like Sienkiewicz and Ralph Steadman. And I just abandoned the whole like render that line, add, you know, depth to that line, and just do one line. Just loosen up, use different tools, use calligraphy pens, and make the one line count. And the way I figured out how to do that was that line can be loose and shaky, and then that just kind of becomes the style. Because, you know, looking at the old work, I don't really look at my old stuff, and revisiting this Grendel story, it is painful in a way because I got to work with the master, Matt Wagner, who's a friend of mine, but the work itself, I'm personally not happy with because I was a young man who didn't really know what he was doing. And that's okay, but when you grow up, it's like you're growing up in public in a way when you start professional work when you're young. I don't really know any artist buddies of mine that are completely happy with their first work. So, but it's just odd because it's published. So there's this record that the world can witness of you going through these awkward growing pains. So this story, and then I did a story with Brian Azzarello for Batman Black and White back in the same year, almost like 2099 or 2000. And both those stories, I am so tempted to like, I wish I could just redraw them. Like I was thinking about it today, like it would be funny to just redraw them and publish them as a bootleg or something, but do it, like do the whole story in just like 2 days, super, super loose, but knowing in my own mind that like, hey, I got to get closer to what I really want it to be. So if someone is watching this video and is unfamiliar with my work, like don't gauge my work based off this era. Because my career, I think, has had 3 sort of distinct phases of visual evolution. That's kind of the way I track it.
Oh, word. So is this the first? They're like Clerks and this era Girl Scouts is the first?
Yeah. And then in 2005 or so, I started kind of a different style. And it was my first attempt at just using one line and not doing the line weights. And then that evolved in 2007, 2008, I discovered the calligraphy inking tools and the Pilot parallel pen. Ashley Wood turned me on to that in San Diego Comic-Con. And he was like, he saw me using felt tipped calligraphy pens. And he was like, no, dude. He's like, I know what you're trying to do. This is what you want to use. And he showed me this pen and it was only available on, jetpens.com at that time. So I started ordering these metal tipped calligraphy pens and that was sort of a game changer for me. And I went back to metal nibbed inking tools as well, like the Hunt nibs and stuff like that. And it just gives you that automatic scratchy line that I want in my work. Like I don't want the stuff to be super tight and smooth. So to me, those are the 3 phases of learning.
I tried to pick up these ones too after I think I saw you at Long Beach Con a few years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, I need to. Yeah. I have not really taken them out, Jim. I'm scared of them.
It's, you know, I like those, but man, they're good for like 2 or 3 uses and then they start to fray and get destroyed. But yeah, it's just all learning. But like I said, it's weird to have it. There's a public record of you learning.
But it's almost one of those things too, where it's like you can't learn unless you're able to, like, why do we fall down so that we can learn to get up, Batman or whatever. But you know, it's like if you didn't have this work out there, then you wouldn't have had all this practice. And that is not to say that you might not like it. Sorry to wag my finger there, but like, you know, for me, the Clerks books and the Girl Scouts books and this early shit, I was like, you know, it blew me away and changed my mind, and it like helped me work on all these different things. I've told you 1,000 times about the nose lines as like how many times can I copy that? But it's like these little things that you might look at and be like, fuck that, you know. It helped me, and I'm sure many other people, go over humps of their own work, which it did to you too. So it's like you
That's
can't
awesome.
yeah.
The stuff is old enough now that like I can look back on it almost in like a nostalgic way, and it's been 20 years, man, for some of that stuff. So it's like I can't really hate on it too much. You know?
This for Joe Matt.
Who's that dude?
This is Raja.
Nice.
When Joe Matt was on, he said, make sure we have cats in the cast every time and he'll watch it. So
okay.
Had to do it.
There you go.
Jim, can we ask a little bit about, before you did this story, your history with the project? I know, we know that,
like the first time you met Grendel.
Yeah. I mean, I was buying as much black and white 80s explosion books as could afford as a kid, and I had random issues of the Grendel Kamiko run, and I actually met Matt way back in '92 at San Diego Comic-Con. I went as a fan. It was the same year I met Jack Kirby. It was his 75th birthday party.
Oh shit.
But I was a very young, like nervous kid, but I went to Matt Wagner's table just to watch him drawing on his commissions, but I didn't say anything to him or buy anything because I was just too freaked out by all of this. And
That's
then
awesome.
I we reconnected in '97 when I kind of joined up with Bob Schreck and the original Oni crew. Schreck had a big party the first year of Oni, '97, San Diego, and I wound up meeting Matt officially and reconnecting and smoking weed with him on the balcony of Shrek's hotel room. And it was cool because he kind of was saying to me at the end of the party, like, hey, Shrek said good things about you, so welcome to the crew kind of thing. And I was like, holy shit. So it's cool that not only did I get to meet with Matt, or work with Matt on this, but we've become friends, and he's someone that I greatly admire and respect, and I think he's one of the best to do it in comics. He's my favorite, but he's my favorite type because he's a writer, artist, creator.
Yeah.
That's my favorite type of creator in comics.
Oh yeah. That's what I strove to be too.
Yeah.
Because for me, there's only one artist, writer, creator that I look to higher than Matt Wagner. He's already on the cast, so boom.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Ben, you're such a guy. I know.
Appreciate that.
You've really had an impact on my life.
Jim, can you talk us through what you recall about Matt's script for this story?
This is what we've been talking about a lot. Is every time we get into one of these stories, we're like, what was in the script? Like, what did the artist add? What was like? So we're wondering, that creative process.
Yeah, this was the first time I ever worked Marvel Method. That's the way he did this story with me, where he just sent me a brief synopsis of what happens on each page. Wow. And kind of the character emotions. Like we see the kid writing graffiti, he gets grabbed by the gangsters, he's freaked out. Grendel shows up on the next page, and so I did the layouts based on this and then sent him the layout. Like I remember faxing him the layouts because this was like before I could afford a scanner even, and internet was so slow. So I faxed him the layouts and then he scripted based on that. And then I went to full pencils off that, FedExed everything to Sean Conant for the lettering. Sean FedExed back to me, and then I inked and sent it into Diana at Dark Horse. So that was the other cool thing, is obviously working on this stuff, you get to work with the legendary Diana Schutz, who is one of the greatest editors to ever grace comic books.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a bonus. You get Matt and Diana, and it's just for me, man. It was kind of like.
Let me interrupt you really quick. I did want to just say that I have a very special surprise for everyone. A special guest. Oh, Matt and Brennan Wagner. Boom.
Hey guys.
Hopping in to say hi.
Yeah.
God damn. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, man. How you holding up?
I'm good. I'm just telling these guys, we've been, locked in our houses, and I'm just drawing, hanging out.
Yeah.
How are both you guys?
We're doing all right. We Barb was lucky enough to score a couple of air purifiers at Home Depot one day.
Nice.
And they've made all the difference. I mean, I don't know how we'd be doing without those. It's supposed to be getting rain this weekend in the next several days, so probably not enough, but it'll help some. So
yeah.
Happy birthday, Brennan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, happy birthday, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Have you done any fishing recently? Just kidding.
I'm sure there was a huge outdoor party at your guys' house, right? Like, did you?
Oh yeah, when it breaks, yeah. I keep telling everybody, do your fucking rain dance this weekend for sure, man.
Yeah.
We were just talking about mine shirt. Or the Dune.
All your shirts are awesome, but I was a Jim. Nice shirt.
This one was drawn by me.
Oh, was it really?
Printed,
cool.
yeah.
That's amazing.
It's close to the lion dreadlocks Grendel that I keep pitching to you.
Oh yeah, right on.
He's got this little robot boombox that
Cool.
cruises with him. But we were just talking about the Marvel method kind of way that you guys scripted and wrote Jim's story here, and he was talking about faxing or something. And so what do you remember about doing the Marvel method way with Jim?
Well, I tried to do that with almost everybody, especially for that series because, again, when I'm collaborating with people, especially people who are, accomplished, like everybody that was in all of the Black, White, and Red series, I want them to bring something to the table. I don't want to be, just the story master,
Yeah.
So Jim, I can't quite remember with yours. I just described what happened on each page. I didn't break down any panels or anything.
No, I was just telling these guys it was the first time I ever worked this way, and I prefer working this way where you just sent me a very brief synopsis of each page, and it was more like not panel breakdowns, but it was like first page that we see the kid writing graffiti, we see the can moving, we pull back to reveal something, and it was kind of up to me to lay that out and break it down, and then I faxed you like the layouts of that.
Yeah.
And I think you scripted based on those layouts.
Probably,
and
yeah.
And then I think that you sent me then the script and I went to full pencil and then I sent it to Sean for lettering and then I got it back and did the finished inks.
Back when, so that was actually lettered on the boards?
Yes.
Ah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back in the gold old days.
Yeah, it was like the last era of that before things started going digital.
Everything went digital, yeah. Yep.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then it's Jim's personality that figures out the pace of how things unfold on each page,
Right.
And, with each of those Black, White, and Red stories, I tried to gear it towards, what I liked about the various individual artists' artwork and their vibe, in certain cases I asked them, what do you want to draw? Tell me, give me a slight lead in. I don't think I did that with you, did I? I think I just kind of
No, the graffiti writer thing was your idea.
Yeah, that just reeks throughout all your work,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's such a huge element of your stuff that I was just like, well, we got to do that. So.
Yeah, and it was cool too because you were like, there's a scene where he's in bed with his hot girlfriend, and they're
that's you too, Jim.
post sex, and he's smoking a joint, and I'm like, oh, this is okay. I'm ready.
I got this.
This is awesome.
But Matt, you didn't have any requests for band names on backpacks, T-shirts, or records.
No,
that was all Matt. That was all Matt. That was all Joe. Jim, I was wondering too because I've wanted to ask you this, man. There's that Bart Simpson Treehouse of Horrors comic where he dresses up as Grendel. Whose idea was that? Was that before this? Matt, what did you think of that?
I've never seen it. This is news to me.
Oh,
what?
Shit.
Really?
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was such a mind blow when I saw that.
Yeah. You'll have to put this, when you edit this, you'll have to put examples in there so I can watch it later.
Oh my God, I will.
I've been friends for a long time with Bill Morrison. He likes Grendel. And so he probably had something to do with that, or at least a suggestion. He had offered me to contribute something to one of those one year, and I don't know. That never seemed to be quite my vibe, but but that's cool that they put it. That's really great.
Jim drew it, yeah.
Yeah. So Matt, that was actually me on my own doing that. Like,
all right, great.
So
great.
like Scott Morse and I and two other artists, it might have been Hillary Barda. We were in the Treehouse of Horror comic book for, I think it was 2000 or 2001. So they gave me a story. They hooked me up with this writer, Ian Boothby, and I put all the Simpsons cast into Halloween costumes based on comic books.
Oh, cool.
So Art is dressed as Grendel. Lisa is the Carrie Kelly Robin. Martin the Bully is Orion from the New Gods. So it was all like pretty inside.
Yeah, but all makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'll have to send you images from it. But yeah, Bart's Grendel.
And Ian is Pia Guerra's husband, isn't he? Am I thinking the right?
Oh shit, that sounds. I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Married to Pia Guerra, the artist of Why the Last Man. Most famously, probably. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And but yeah, that's funny that you remembered that, Eli.
Man. Dude, I'm an
Jim, I was trying to remember
encyclopedic.
before we signed on here. Where did you and I first meet? Was it a party at Shrek's house?
It was well, I was telling these guys I went to your table in '92 at San Diego Comic-Con, but I was too scared to talk to you.
No, because I'm so
I was like a 16-year-old. I was like a 16-year-old kid, and I was just watching you draw, but I didn't want to say anything. And then in '97, when Shrek was there with Oni for the first year of Oni in San Diego, we met at his like hotel room Oni party.
Oh,
officially. And then that was, you know, after that, every year was like the dinners and the hangouts and everything, you know. Great times, man. You know, and I'm sure you guys know, but Matt is a connoisseur of all fine things, food related. So anytime we would go to meals, it would kind of be like, just let Matt order at the table, and this will be like a 4-course meal. And
Jim, I also distinctly remember that one of the first times we hung out, you just wanted to get high with me so bad.
We did get high. We did, yeah. It's a thing to talk about, though. It's like, I smoked weed with Matt Wagner. Like that's,
and now Matt's son.
Yeah.
I've smoked weed with Matt Wagner.
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
Not for a long time, guys. I've kind of left it behind, especially with the shitty atmosphere up here. You know, just like
This is actually a great opportunity for me to dip out because it's exactly what I'm going to go do. Bye.
Yes. Good to see you, Brandon.
Take care of yourself, buddy. Happy birthday.
Enjoy it.
Hey, thanks. Big 3-0. Now I'm a man or something.
You did it. You made it.
Bye.
Hell yeah.
Take care. Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
Good,
with
man.
Marvel Method, it seems like all these decisions about the shout-outs and like Jim's like always signature soundtrack and what the graffiti would say, that was kind of left up to you to just kind of parse out.
Oh yeah, all the texture and atmosphere, that's all Jim, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. And I remember one time, Jim, I was at a Chicago live art jam you did, and I sat at a table just with someone I didn't recognize. Turned out to be Mike Huddleston. And I was talking to him and I was like, I love the way that Jim makes their t-shirts change every time. That's so awesome. He's like, dude, he fucking stole that from Jamie Hewlett. And I was like, oh my God. Like, okay. So this is like what you do is you like take the pieces from all those people you love. And like, that's what I've done. Mahfood knows this.
Every artist will tell you the same, man. You're a collection of your influences.
Yeah,
you know, hopefully then you add your own individual
Filter
voice
it.
on top of that. But nobody becomes the artist they are in a vacuum, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to add your own, like Matt's saying, you got to add your own twist, though. That twist is really what makes it. Now you've contributed something new.
Exactly. Like filter it through your own creativity in order.
That's, you know, there's an old cynical saying that, you know, every story's already been told. I answer that with, yeah, but it hasn't been told by you.
Exactly.
Right. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. What about, like, there's so many cool things in this story and so many like very Mahfood things and very Wagner isms, I think. Do you guys think that, well, okay, here's this. Jim was saying that he would love to like redraw this because like of the way that it's like his, you know, phase 1, Jim. Do you think that there's ever?
We all suffer from that.
You said it in the
truth of the matter is, you just need to keep marching forward. I mean, you know, that's always. I would think every artist probably looks back at their early work and be, fuck, I do. Look back at your early work and think, God, I wish I could redo that, but you can't. You know, that was you then. This is you now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was telling these guys, it's weird when you start professionally really young because all your mistakes are published. It's like you're awkward growing. There's a physical record of your awkward growing pains as a creator. And so there's been enough time that's passed that like I can accept that and be comfortable with it, because it's almost like I look at it like a different person did that work. Like a very young, naive, inexperienced kid did that shit, you know, and 20 years later, hopefully, I think my work has evolved, obviously, and changed since then.
For sure.
So you kind of have to come to terms with like, yeah, that's who I was 2 decades.
Yeah, that's the good part. What would suck is if you hadn't changed.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I always point out that's I went to art school. I went to a liberal arts university too. I had plenty of art instruction. The best teacher I ever had was seeing my own work in print, because you can get a critique from a teacher or anybody, and they'll tell you, oh, okay, that hand is fucked up. That doesn't look good, And the defensive you will go, oh yeah, no, it's okay. That looks okay.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
2,000 copies of that fucked up hand, and you realize, no, it doesn't. It does look okay,
Yeah.
But even just beyond stuff that's fucked up, like I said, you just look at stuff and you think to yourself, I could have added that. I could have honed that a little better here, And that internalizing that process is how you get better,
Yeah. Hey Matt, when you went to art school, did you do? I'm assuming you did like live figure drawing a lot. Did that kind of help change the game for you? Like, was that a big thing for you?
Yeah, some. It depended on the model. I remember my girlfriend at the time and I used to laugh about. We had this one gal named Tish, and it was like she was made out of soft clay, because no matter what position the teacher would put her in, as she stood there, she'd just kind of start to sag into a better position,
Right.
And a lot of artists will tell you, and Jim, you probably felt this too, structurally, drawing overweight people's amazing.
Yeah.
In figure drawing, there's a bulk there, there's a gravity there. You are forced to look beyond their surface skin and their surface shapes to the structure underneath. So yeah, it helped. Everything helped.
Yeah. For me, it was a game changer because I came up in the era of trying to draw figurative work based off of late 80s, early 90s comics, which was the tight Jim Lee Liefeld. And so when one of my figure drawing instructors saw I had one of these comics and he picked it up and flipped through it, and he's like, listen, man, he's like, we're going to teach you how to draw. He's like, this is not, he threw it. He's like, we're going to teach you how to draw, bro. Don't worry about it.
I always tell when young artists approach me and ask for advice at cons, I always say, my number one piece of advice is don't draw from comics. Don't learn to draw from comics. You need to learn to draw from life. Yeah. Because the stuff you're seeing that you like in comics is that individual artist's language for how he translates what he sees around him in life. Your language will be different, but you need to look at the world around you, not at what you see on the printed page. That's somebody else's voice. Don't copy somebody else's voice.
Right.
And don't only draw characters. You need to draw telephones and bushes and cars, and you need to draw the world that you're going to put your characters in, all of which is not shit they want to hear, but it's stuff they have to hear.
Right. Right.
That was a hard lesson for me, for sure.
Yeah. That's great advice though. That's awesome.
That's when I started sitting at bars and just drinking and drawing everything around me, every person that comes in to the pizza shop.
Oh, that's a great you got to be careful because some people get pissed off when you're doing that.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And then they're like, why aren't you drawing any women? And you're like, I don't know how to draw women. Or you say something dumb like, I don't do women. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's fine. We're in Vermont.
Well, if there are beautiful women in here in this bar, I would draw them. But
yeah.
Good way to meet girls.
Oh, yes. It worked. And then I gave that girl a copy of 40 Ounce Collected, which solidified our friendship, if I recall some things.
Okay.
That's insane.
I'm glad I could help. Thanks, I could help.
Super.
So Matt, do you remember when you first saw Jim's work and you were like, "Oh, let's work together"?
Definitely through Bob Schreck. I will give full-on props here to Bob. Bob is always, or used to be back in his more active days when he was still in the biz. Was always pointing me to younger artists, and saying, "Hey, take a look at this guy." He has the same kind of maybe fire that you had, when you were starting out. He doesn't toe the line same way you didn't toe the line,
Right.
And I'm sure it was through Shrek that I first saw Jim's work. Yeah.
Definitely.
And you guys both, like, I mean, Matt, you drew the very first Jay and Silent Bob book ever, and then Jim drew the Clerks comics. Was there any kind of crossover with that?
Connection too, yeah.
Yeah. But that wasn't any type of meeting through that or anything, or I mean, they were both Oni books.
Yeah, Jim, I think we already had met each other at that point, probably, right?
Yeah, you know what's interesting is in '97 at San Diego, Oni had set up, but they had no published books. They had the poster for the Clerks book I wound up drawing. The cover was done by Gilbert Hernandez, and they had the poster for Bad Boy, the Frank Miller, and they had the cover. They had the cover for Oni Double Feature #1, which Matt, you drew. It was Jay and Silent Bob, and they had the stickers on their table of the circular Jay and Bob painting that you did, Matt.
Yeah, I had that.
So Matt was the first one to ever draw any comic that Kevin wrote, and it was 15 pages in Oni Double Feature. I was the first one to draw Kevin's first full-length comic book. It was Clerks. So we have kind of that like first Kevin Smith connection thing.
That's pretty cool.
But I remember it was intimidating because Oni Double Feature came out and it was like, it's Matt Wagner drawing Kevin's universe. And I had been hired to draw Clerks, but I don't think I started yet. But I was like, shit, Wagner's already established like a thing. God damn it. Like I have to do, but my stuff was so
different. Yeah.
Different in its own thing that the fact that Shrek even took a chance on me at that age, he really was instrumental.
He's done that throughout his entire career, man.
Yeah.
That's one of his big strengths.
And
one thing I did with that, which you probably didn't notice, I hope you didn't notice because it was meant to be subtle. In my story, Jay and Bob have the only solid black on them. Everything else is contour drawings with laid in tone, and it was just meant to separate that, like they're in their own little fucking world, you know. They only exist as a pair, and that's it, you know.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
The thing about Bob too that was so great was he had this perfect way of melding like the old classic guys, like the old regime, like Frank Miller was always around when Bob was around, but also then bringing in the new guys like me, Scott Morse, Andy Watson, Troy Nixie. So there, whenever Shrek was around at that time with dinners or parties or whatever, anything Oni related, there was this awesome fusion of like the new, and I don't want to say the old, but like the established guys, and then like the new guys coming together.
Yep. Bob was a terrific conduit for that, and really just knew how to mix all those elements together into a terrific stew, you know.
Yeah.
And he knew that for, you know, guys like me and Miller and the more established crowd, it was vitally important that we encountered these younger creators and that we were aware of their efforts and that we weren't just in our own little old world bubble, you know.
Right.
Yeah. He's just, his contribution to the industry is enormous. And
oh yeah,
I love that stuff.
And it's, you know, it was cool for me being a young guy too, because like there was no egos from any of you guys, like you, Mike Allred, the guys that have been around for a bit. It was like I didn't encounter any resistance or
douchebaggery,
from anyone, man. It was refreshing, you know. So occasionally when I would meet a older pro who was maybe like a Marvel DC guy and they had attitude, it was like, fuck this, man, I'm gonna go hang out back at the Shrek table where like the cool guys are young and old and everyone gets along, like it doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool that you mentioned Andy Watson. We covered his story last week on the show. Was he just someone else, Matt, that you met through this? And then Jim, was he someone like that was running in your crew?
There's a really terrific story about that. I really liked Geisha, the book he did for Oni.
Yeah.
And Oni asked me early on if I would write the introduction to it, so I did. So as a thank you, Andy sent me a drawing he had done of Grendel on this stallion, like galloping into the surf with the sun setting, and that's the one. And I was like, you know, I knew we were getting ready to do this Black, White, and Red series, and I asked him to be part of it, and I was like, oh fuck, now I gotta get that page in there somehow. So I decided to do all just these single illustrations with his kind of unique.
So
I always
beautiful.
compare his style to a mix between anime and New Yorker sort of cartooning, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I did a little like haiku piece for each one, you know, but I fucked up Grendel haiku, not about the beauty of life, but about the grim.
We had a haiku off last week. And after that, we both wrote haikus in response.
Yeah.
Was the horse drawing that he did, was that the one that appears in the book, or was it?
Yeah. I still have
cool.
it. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
super cool.
And Jim, was he running in your crews at the time? Because it seemed like his early work that I was digging on, it was like a biker or a skateboarding book that he said was like a cross between Akira and skateboarding.
Oh, Skeleton Key.
Yeah.
Skeleton Key, yeah,
Surfer something jam too. Some.
I got turned on to his work from Skeleton Key through Slave Labor, and then I met him either in '97 or '98. Just all of us were hanging out, you know, because we were all Oni basically. So that's how I met Scott Morse, Troy Nixie, China Clugston, Renee French. There was this whole crew just around Bob, and young and new and old school people, and so that became like just like my comics family basically. But
awesome. You guys kind of shared a language, it seemed like, too, of like gritty surfer. This one was Samurai Jam, the one that I found.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which seemed like which struck me as your same kind of like style. Kind of, yes, skateboarder, punky, band influenced. And
yeah. And it's like I said earlier, like everyone, the thing I liked about all that was all the creators were writer artists. And for me, that's the main goal with all this. It's like, just create, write, and draw and do all your own shit, you know? And that's why when I was talking before Matt came on, I said, well, Matt is the man because he's my favorite type of creator. He writes, draws, controls his own IP. And I think that's sort of the best way to do all this, the best way to handle it all. But then,
at the same time, I mean, obviously working with you and I've worked with a lot of different other creators drawing Grendel. And I think I spoke last time you guys had me on. You know, that was a very distinct decision on my part to do that, because I wanted it to force me to open up to different points of view. You know, there is a danger if you're doing your own thing that you get kind of caught in your own little room, you know.
right.
And by working with these other artists, and specifically working in that plot and dialogue fashion that we had spoken of, you know, I toss out a story and it comes back to me visualized, not quite in the way I thought, often in the way I thought, but usually with something different that forces me to say, oh, that's great. You know, I didn't think of that. I love those realizations. Like, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, because then it's like you're both kind of scratching each other's back in a creative.
But again, that's far different than the traditional, you know, artist and writer scene in comics. You know, where the writer tends to do a full script and he just expects the artist to visualize his vision. You know. Yeah.
Right. And so, Matt, when you went on to do everything at DC, you're obviously turning in full scripts for all that stuff, right?
I was then at that point. Yeah. 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 Well, no, I think Madame Xanadu. Yeah. All of Madame Xanadu, I did plot and dialogue fashion, even with Kaluta.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Same with Sandman Mystery Theater. I did all plot and dialogue with that.
Oh, shit.
With like writing for other artists' projects over there. Everything else I drew myself. So.
Right.
You know, Jim, I said to these guys earlier, you know, part of why, if I'm going to work with another artist, that's I almost feel a moral obligation to do it that way, because if I want that ironclad control, I should draw it, right? I mean, you know, the only reason to collaborate is to truly collaborate, you know?
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you have to be open to know that. You can't be so controlling that it's like, this is the script, you're drawing this script.
Yeah.
You know, by doing the Marvel method, it's immediately opening it up, and it's more welcoming to the artist to be like, these are the ideas, this is what we're trying to do, now you go and let's see how you respond to what I've given you.
And then and once you say like, that sucks or that's terrible, change it, then the artist's like, well, now my creative roof has been lowered for what I can do, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm always, you know, I do ask for changes occasionally, but I try to be very careful about it and very, it's just like you said there, Eli. You can't say this is wrong. You have to come in with a more of a, maybe we should approach it like this due to this reason,
And that's how you truly collaborate, like you said.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's also
Hey, dudes, I'm just noticing the time here. I got to bounce, unfortunately. But
are you cooking?
Yeah, I'm cooking. Yeah.
What you got? What you making?
Chicken parmesan tonight, just simple.
Oh, hey Matt, I'll be over in like 15 minutes. I'll see you soon.
The other night I made this dish that was just incredible. It was Thai fried chicken and watermelon salad.
Oof.
Oh,
I saw Brennan post
fried
that.
chicken with watermelon, and then this Thai sauce on it with all these, mint and Thai basil and everything garnished on top. It was super delicious.
your family is living large, man. They have to. They love you so much. They got
rotten.
They got paid, man.
Damn, that sounds good. Thanks so much for stopping by, Matt.
Yeah,
Really means a
job,
lot when
dude.
you pop
Glad
in.
to hear you're doing okay over there, bud.
Matt, good to see you, brother. Take care,
Hang in
man.
there. See you again next time, guys.
Definitely. Thanks again. It's so nice when he pops in.
Yes, that was an awesome surprise. That was great.
Yes, I just hooked that up today. I've been meaning to like message him, and then I was like, oh, I'll just throw it out there. Like, no pressure if you want to pop in. He's like, hell yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, he's just a good guy, man. He's one of the winners and champions of the industry for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just such a cool opportunity too to see him bouncing off you or any of the artists that we get in, because then you get a whole new window that probably we wouldn't have been able to open because you guys are buddies, you guys are friends. It was you two working on the story.
Let you relive it. It's great.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing.
That was cool, man. Yeah, and it's funny too, because like looking through the whole trade of all this stuff, like I forgot how much good stuff is in this book. Like there's some really, really good work in the series that I just haven't looked at it in a while, and it was like, holy shit, he got some really good people in this.
Yeah, and the 3 stories that we had lined up to talk about today, which we'll definitely not get to, which is totally fine. The Kelly Jones too. Oh my God, is insane.
Yeah,
he gets the eyes, and he's like, "You didn't damage him, did he?" He's like, "No, I just brought the whole like sliver from the middle of his head." That drawing was like,
yes.
Oh my God.
It's Kelly Jones inking himself too, which like I always think is great. It's when he works with like John Beatty. I mean, that's always a treat, but seeing this like pure Kelly Jones, I forgot how
insane
awesome it was. And then you also have Phil Hester and Andy Parks, who are buddies of mine, and those guys are
so cool.
Design masters and just.
Well, that story too, because like Ben and I have been going through everything. The story is it's like right on the top of our heads, and every character is like right there. And so that story that they do is such a huge story because it's Barry Palumbo, Stacy Palumbo's uncle. It's like the story that's covered in Kamiko. Ben is like 1 or 2. It's 1, right? I think it's in the very first story, because like,
and also we've been there between that and Devil by the Deed. We've seen this scene
right
3 times now, and there seemed to be like the sampling that we had talked about for this week are like the 3 kinds of stories that appear in the anthologies. Jim, yours is about someone in this world who gets kind of caught up in the tale. Kelly Jones's sort of develops someone who's been established.
First time we see an Argent-led story as well.
And then like we said, like the Phil Hester one just like develops one panel from Devil by the Deed into 8 pages. It's a really amazing approach.
Yeah.
And it's an event in the history of Grendel that changes kind of everything that starts the Stacy Palumbo storyline, because Hunter becomes infatuated with her. And did he organize this thing to get Barry Palumbo killed so that he could have Stacy or whatever,
Yeah, it's a great setup. I read it for the first time just like last night in a long time, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot about all this going on. And then the Kelly Jones one with like the stoner occult
wizard
guy that tries his best, but of course he's gonna winds up getting murdered, I'm assuming, on that last panel of the story. And
it seems like it, dude. That panel of Argent like hitting that bubbler or the joint or whatever, so great.
Listen a while, Jim, I'm curious what one of the conversations that we've had a lot about these anthologies is that it seems, and we were just talking about this before we brought you in, it seems like the sequencing is sort of purposefully non-chronological. And like sort of that's a big part of the mystery of Grendel, is that there's like moving pieces that you as a reader need to really keep track of.
Right.
You know, if you're given all this Barry info from the jump, is it as, you know, what's the effect, you know, if you make your own like reading order versus taking it as Matt's delivering it to you? I was wondering if you could just kind of talk about that, or like the mysteries of Grendel, or your take on the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read in sequential order the entire Grendel run. I mean, I have all these bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But working on it just in this brief story and knowing what I know, I like the fact that it's never all laid out for you. And with my story in particular, it's like Grendel doesn't show up until the last 2 pages, and I only get to draw him like 2 or 3 times. Yeah. So for me, when I initially got the plot, I was kind of like, oh shit, Grendel only shows up for, but it's like, well, of course, that's what the Grendel mythology is. Like, you don't really experience it through being at his side, and he's the character that's literally on every page. It's like the world of Grendel explains to the viewer what's going on to the reader, and then Grendel himself as this sinister force is the mysterious shadow that just kind of creeps in here and there. Yeah, you know, so it the way that Matt has devised that is genius, because when you over explain something, it takes the mystery out of it. It's like the first Jaws movie where you don't really see the shark. Yeah. That much. You know, it makes the impact of seeing the shark at the very end of the movie like a holy shit moment, where flipping through this Grendel trade again, I was like, the formula of most of this is Grendel shows up at the end and fucks people up, and it's a holy shit moment. Yeah. And it's so much more impactful. And I forgot that my homie Mike Huddleston even did a story in this. And in the last page, the big reveal, the big splash page is all these dead gangsters and Grendel just perched above with his staff, blood everywhere. And it's so much more an effective storytelling device to deliver the drama that way. Is as a creator, you sometimes want to go for the fun first and just be like, no, just show like the main thing. Just show the main guy doing the thing. And Matt has the sensibility and the storytelling chops to know when to pull back and be reserved and really have those impact moments. And I think that's one of the key things of Grendel's success, man, is you sort of don't know what he's doing all the time. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, man. Yeah, we're frequently left wishing, this panel could be another 8-page story, or like, I need a story about this and this and this. We're always sort of left wanting more, and kind of, you know, wondering, you know, if Matt's like holding back, or, you know, on more stories, or he's like, no, that's all you get, you know, like it's got to live in your head now, and you have to, that's your job as the reader to have that like interactivity with it.
Right. And you know, the opposite of that is his other big creator on thing, Mage, is like we are with Kevin Matchstick most of the time. We do see what's going on with him, and it's all out in the open.
There are really 2 edges to like the Matt sword. It's like it's a complete opposite, really. Yeah. And one of the only times that there seems to be any type of crossover is in Dion's bedroom. He's got a Mage sticker.
Yeah. I remember the time I was expecting, I wonder if Matt is gonna like make a note of that, because it shouldn't exist in this universe, that there's a Mage comic in this universe.
That's what I was thinking. There's got to be.
Like, he didn't say anything.
He didn't say. Maybe he didn't see it. If he hadn't seen that Simpsons.
Oh shit! I know. I'm glad you brought up the Treehouse of Horror, because that was a funny reference point of, you know, Bart Simpson being Grendel. I'm gonna have to just send him a copy of that book.
Yeah, you got to.
I've got extras, so
that's awesome. Well, then you can send one.
I had 2 other quick notes from Dion's bedroom. One is the shout out to Von Bodie. And when you were talking about this old approach you had 20 years ago, kind of sculpting out a single line, that reminded me a lot of lessons that I took from Bodie's like big beefy inking and thinking about drawing in terms of sculpture. And then also we have Farrell Dalrymple scheduled for next week. And I haven't read enough of his work. So what should we be looking at? And you've got a Pop Gun War poster on the wall. So what should we be looking at in his work or his body of work? That what should we grill him on?
I would say start with Pop Gun War.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's fantastic. I mean, that was all of our exposure to his work. He was kind of shopping that around in San Diego in the late 90s when Scott Morse and I met him. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. His latest comic series he did like a year ago at Image, Proxima Centauri.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also think it's fantastic. I'll be totally honest. I read the whole thing. I sort of don't know what's going on with it, but that's the joy of it, because you're fully immersed into Farrell's world and universe with this story. And I had a great time hanging out in this world with these characters. And to me, the plot sort of didn't matter. I would get excited each time a new issue would come out, because he's so good at writing and drawing and storytelling that I just want to spend time in his world. And so Pop Gun War has that as well, where it's a creator who I'm not looking for a literal explanation with what he's doing and plot necessarily. It's more like, I want to spend time in this guy's universe that he's crafted.
Yeah.
And Farrell's awesome, man. I was just actually DMing with him today on Instagram about shitty 80s horror movies. So it's cool that you have him on. And he's another guy that I forgot that he was in the book until I
it's really a who's who of your guys' kind of generation. It's like, and like you said, Huddleston too. Decorum, his new book, is also like that. Like, what is going on? But like, it's so beautiful, and like, there's so many different stories being told and views. Like,
yeah, man, Decorum is like mind-bending, visionary work. Like, I don't really know how to describe it to people other than pick it up.
Well, like I read like the description and like, you know, a previews or something like that. And I was like, I had no idea that's what was even happening. I've read 5 issues and it's 4 issues, and it's like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah. And it's funny talking about style change, like looking at Mike's style from this Grendel era and what he's doing now with like these digitally painted heavy metal magazine like landscapes and psychedelic.
It's like Sid Mead crossed with whoever does those Prefuse 73 covers. Like, it's like
right. Yeah, dude. Obviously he's a genius. So there's so many people doing fantastic work right now. It's kind of hard to keep up with everything, but I'm really inspired every day, man, by looking just the artists I love and follow on like Instagram. Every day a swipe through it is almost like going to the best art gallery in the world or something.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Dude, with the Cartoonist Kayfabe, with the Instagram or the Facebook group, we made a Inktober list, and one of the dates is Jim Mahfood, of course.
I saw that. What is the date of that?
The best. It's going to be the best stage.
Inundated, bruh.
I feel like I need to do something for that date. I feel like
it will be October 8th.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
And so is that just everyone interprets the list?
Well, I don't like any type of rules on that. Like, you know, draw in their style, draw Jim himself as Orion, draw, you know, whatever that inspires you to do, you know.
That's cool. It's just a reference point, basically.
Exactly, like a jumping off point. Exactly, like how we were talking about, take that and filter it through your creative sieve.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so not to get too off topic, but did you completely sell out of the wizard spelt with an E?
The first printing I did. And people were telling me, yo, you got to do like variant covers, get like in. And so I did. Have you seen the variants that we did? We did a small second print. But
no, I'd love to see it.
We did a 3D that Ben did the anaglyph to.
Holy shit.
And then I got like 3D glasses, and each one I'll sketch and then include.
That's awesome.
And then, oh shit. Amazing. And then I found this dude who got this like super shiny. So we did the gold variant.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing. So you found a printer that can do.
Yeah. Someone from the Kayfabe group connected me with this dude who got this super shiny paper. And I was like, we've got to do it. Once that connection happened, I was like, this must happen.
Is that the platinum version? That looks.
It is. Yeah. Okay. And Jim Rugg said he was, quote, in love with it, which is pretty big. That's a good.
If you're getting Jim Love to fall in love with your production stuff, then you know you're doing the right thing.
It's doing good. It seems like there's so many good Jims in this world. I don't know if you've noticed that, but Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix. This was like my roof, my ceiling growing up was like Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Jim Carrey. It was all like cable guy shit. And then I started printing out smoke dogs to put around places. And
the name carries a lot of weight with it. It
really does
live up to the expectation.
Dude, it's wild. Let me show you what I just found, dude.
Like your take
One of the first times I met you, my friend's been selling vintage t-shirts on Instagram. Like he does these late night things. Honestly, I went on there and made $400 selling 2 shirts the other night.
What?
Fucking insane. Yeah. If you have any vintage like graffiti Marvel shirts from before 2000, each one will go for $200, if not more.
I don't, but
I found this. That's where I first met you in. I think it was 2004, maybe.
Holy shit!
2005.
That's crazy. A gem right there, sir. That is a gem. Wow.
So sick. I learned there to volunteer, and you get in for free.
Yeah.
And then you get to hang out with people. And
dude, that Wizard Chicago show used to be one of the best shows in the early 2000s. Like my whole crew would go out there and we would crush it and do a live art party at the Black Beetle, which was a great bar in Chicago. And
that's where that Mike Huddleston story was from.
Yeah.
Him. Yeah.
And it was just, man, it was always such a blast. And then Wizard took a really quick nosedive as far as the shows and everything go.
So weird. And then you see like their online offerings now where it's like Monsters of Rock, and it's like these artists that you don't even know. It's like the 6th and 7th Misfit or something, and you're like, I don't.
Is Wizard still a functioning corporation that sells and makes stuff?
I don't see. I did a little research because of like if there could be any type of copyright with my book, my anthology, but I don't believe they do any type of printing.
Okay.
There's no magazine at all. So then there was no like, you're using our name or something. But they're still doing.
You did what I did with Girl Scouts. Like if you spell it differently, like legally that is the loophole. Like you should be okay.
Yeah. I wonder if we'll have to do that for the Image Grand Design. Though I think because I had to change the name from Image Comics Grand Design to just Image Grand Design, but we'll see.
You'll be fine. I think everyone at all the partners at Image would be more flattered and not. Like I don't think
we're still relevant.
I don't see.
Well, I was thinking too. I mean, it's like Shitty Dark Knight you did, and
Valentino's not going to come after you. You know what I mean?
All right, good. That's good.
I'll tell him to chill. I'll tell him to chill out.
Thank you. Yes. Jim. And it seems like since we've got you, we've got Ed, trying to get other Jim, but dude, thanks so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk Grendel. I'm sorry we didn't get to those stories, but I think we did fine.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. That was awesome that you brought on Matt and Brennan. Those guys are great.
They're class acts. They're so cool.
good treat. I am tempted to leave and just show up at Wagner's door and be like, "Can I have a dinner?"
Get some parm, please. Dude, have you seen that interview with him and the Batman editor from Jamie S. Rich, where he interviews him while Matt's cooking?
No, is that new?
No, it's maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's like In the Gutters, I think, was his YouTube show, and he interviews Matt.
Yeah,
and he's like, it's amazing. He teaches him how to like saute garlic and smash it, and then he's also talking comics. It's like the best.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Jamie, like right after Bob left Oni to go to New York to become the Batman group editor, Jamie Rich left Dark Horse and took his place as editor-in-chief of Oni.
Oh, sick.
So my last couple of years of doing creator-owned stuff at Oni, Jamie was my editor. And then eventually I just kind of took all my creator-owned stuff and took it over to Image in 2001 because I met Valentino and I didn't know that he was like an indie comics guy. Like I didn't know about Normal Man. I just thought he was like the Guardians of the Galaxy guy. So we started talking and we had like a 2-hour conversation about like Robert Crumb. So I'm like, the Shadowhawk guy is an indie comics guy. And he blew my mind. He was like, hey, listen, man, I love your shit. If you want a new home, we'll put out anything you want to do, like black and white, color. So I made the transition and that's kind of like been my home since for creator-owned stuff.
And speaking of that, you are in the process right now of working on a new Girl Scouts book?
Yeah, Girl Scouts Stone Ghost. It's 6 issues. I'm working on issue 3 right now. I have no release date schedule for it. I'm just going to do the whole thing and then put it out starting next year.
Nice.
So that's going on. And then I'm also working on, we have a Girl Scouts animated pilot that I've been working on for 5 months, writing and planning. And that's basically all I can say about it. But are
they using your, like they're going to use your style like Disco Destroyer kind of way, or?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're figuring out right now, like the visual development and the scripting, and we'll see if we go to series or not. But so far so good, man. It's been like an interesting thing, and everyone can make animation now because it's just all done through Zoom meetings, and all the animators are at home working on their Cintiqs. So
are you working with Titmouse?
No, it's a different animation studio that I can't say, but it's one of the big ones. So I mean, I can tell you off camera, but.
All right. I also was always wondering, why was the villain's name in the Girl Scouts TV show Eli?
That's a good question.
Yeah, the live action pilot.
Yeah.
I think that was Mike Diva, the guy who directed it. We wrote that together, and I think that was just the name he plugged in.
Damn it.
Obviously, nothing against you. It would have been weird if he had your last name. Then it would have been a direct,
damn,
a direct dig at you or something. But,
he's got to be your worst fan, Jim. I know it.
Right,
stalker.
Yeah. No, it's all good, man. You've been nothing but cool to me since we met, and you also gave me a ride home from the Dweezil Zappa concert. So
that was a pretty fun ride, man.
Killer show.
Insane. Concert. Gosh, we saw him there again back when the world wasn't on fire. I think it was this year.
Yeah. He was supposed to be here, man. I got tickets for him, his show. I think it was supposed to be
for the Hot Rats tour.
Yeah.
Fuck. It was so good.
Did you saw it in LA?
That's the one we saw at the same joint I saw with you.
Shit. Okay. It was right before they were coming here. Everything was shut down.
To see Gumbo Variations live for me was like, dude, it's really cool. Ben's always talking about the flow of some of these Grendel pages as like Zappa-esque. It's always, I've been editing these little, I was gonna say Joppa Road. That's Ween.
Yeah.
Not Alkin Road. That's Ween too. What is it? The road?
Alpaca Road?
Yeah.
Inca Roads.
Inca Roads.
Okay. Yeah,
that's
so I've been editing little Inca Roads pieces in.
Yeah, comics and time and space and editing and layout and Zappa. It all fits together.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the photo of Zappa and Jack Kirby together?
It's the best. I made a shirt of it for myself.
Oh shit. Okay, well, so I mean,
I had to. It's the greatest. The only photo I've seen that's got a similar power is a photo of Les Claypool and Victor Wooten that I've seen, and I'm like, okay,
oh wow, yeah,
a lot of power too.
No, I have a photo of me and Jim and Sienkiewicz last October, and it's called The Three Best Friends. That's the most powerful.
That's the shit. That was from New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
Both of those photos are in Wizard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's in Wizard.
Yes, okay. I know.
Yeah.
I don't miss a beat.
I hope that we can all hang out in New York again, because that was like the Comic-Con there is my favorite of the year, and it's just weird to not go to New York this year or travel anywhere. But New York in particular was like, this is where comics were born, man. Like this is the energy there is always like something special, you know.
Yeah, the syndicates were running it.
I don't miss the line to the bathroom, but other than that,
ugh. I would be remiss if I didn't say a shout out to the podcast that got me started podcasting, which was the Beat B Sessions, and a shout to Jane Dope, aka Carmen, who is so cool. And it was you guys that got me started podcasting, and that was almost 10 years ago. And that was a time where you told someone that you had a podcast. They were like, "What's a podcast?" It's like, yeah. And so it's like, I love what you're doing there, and I love what you're doing on oh my
Skull
god,
Funk.
Skull Funk. Jesus,
Skull Funk Radio.
It's so great.
There's too much. There's too much shit going on. Too much shit to remember now with everything. Like my brain is running out of room for
messed up.
All this stuff. And speaking of Jane Dope, she is doing this incredible like voiceover work now. Like she can do commercial work, animation work. So I'm trying to loop her in with auditioning for like some of the Girl Scouts animated stuff.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So I'm keeping some of it in the family with like people that I know. And that's another thing that like people can just record all this stuff at home.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that's good that's come out of quarantine is that animation is in full swing right now.
Yeah.
Since people can't shoot live action, all the studios are buying up animated properties, like going out of style. So if you're a creator out there and you're trying to pitch an animated show, now's the time to do it.
I've always wanted to pitch Monkey Line. Could be perfect.
Yeah.
It was so crazy, man. I was listening to Skull Funk. I go for these hikes. I live near like Topanga National Forest, so I hike up there. I was listening to Skull Funk, and it was right around the time I sent you to Wizard. So then I came back to the house. I was in the shower, listening to Skull Funk. It's mostly music. And then all of a sudden, you come back from commercial, and you're like, "Yo, shout out Eli and Wizard." And I was just like, "Fucking what is that?" It was like such a shock to like hear that. Like you were addressing me, and I was in the shower, and I was kind of like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
It's like in Goodfellas when Henry Hill hears about the Lufthansa heist and he's in the shower.
That's exactly.
Yeah, I had to give you.
That was a huge shout out, man.
It's funny because with the Skull Funks, I sometimes record them and then we don't release them for like a month because I have two guys helping me with production and they're both married and very busy, and so I shouted you out like literally the day after I got the book in the mail, but it probably wasn't for another month that it was aired. So I was saying to people, I gave people your website to buy the book, and then I had a couple people hitting me up through email and social media saying that fucking book is sold out. Like, how do I get it? And my boy Justin Stewart was one of them, and I was able to get one from you, but that was the only downside of shouting it out.
It was right when it sold out.
It sold out so quickly.
Well, I need some help getting rid of what's left of the second print, so if you need
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll replug it then, but
I'll send you one of these golds if you want to.
I would love to have it, man.
It's beautiful. And 3D.
that would That would be awesome.
Sick. Ben, is there anything else that you didn't get to ask, my man?
No, man, that was so great. I was so surprised when Matt came on.
I'm glad I kept that.
You know, the first time we met in person, I was like a geek senior in college, and I went down to this club in Lower Manhattan, and you and Paul Pope were doing live art in Africa Bambaataa.
You were at that show?
I was at that show, and
Holy shit.
I was like a 21-year-old kid who loved comic books and didn't go out. And, you know, I started this by thanking you for your generosity of spirit. And like, dude, that night you hung out with me, and it meant a great deal to me. And the show was awesome. So
yeah, you know, it's funny, Ben. Mike Huddleston was also with us that night painting, and
cool.
This was before like smartphones, and I didn't take photos of the night, and I've told people about this, and people sometimes don't believe me. I'm like, I got Paul Pope to come down to rock live art with me and Huddleston at a Bambaataa concert in New York City, and people are like, you're full of shit. No, you don't. I'm like, no, I have a flyer that I did from the show, but I don't really have any photos. We didn't get photos of us posing like with Bambaataa. We met him, but it's a sign of the era because none of us brought a camera, and there was no smartphones. So I don't have any like real evidence of the night other than my memory of it. So
That's beautiful though.
But I'm glad that you made it down. Like that was a crazy night. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was
so legendary.
Definitely a wild memory for me. So just thank you for that, and thanks for tonight. We appreciate it.
It's the shit.
Man. Jim, thanks so much for being here. Vivat Grendel, and keep on grendeling. Alrighty, Vivat.